It's a warm spell here on the south side. The sun is out as the Sox try to stave off a sweep at the hands of the Tampa Bay Rays after a couple of close games in this series on 35th and Shields. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And look, the Sox, we've told you, will fight to outnumber 27 all season long. It was the case again yesterday, although the equalizer wasn't there.
Unfortunately, this homestand has not been a good one at 0-5. The Sox looking for some redemption today, and we'll take a look at yesterday. And Jose Abreu getting the boys back awfully close late. Abreu comes up, hits a 3-run homer, and at that point, the team that was trailing 6-1 is now at 6-5. Unfortunately, they came up a little short once again, but Abreu doing what this team has done. Keep on fighting. You see the 5-game losing streak? Last at bat, the tying run on base, 2 runners on, tying run on base, winning run on base, and scored 4 trying run on base. So you look at what this team has done. Yes, they have come up short. However, Ricky and his guys are laying the groundwork for a winning team. This is part of it. You have to take 2 steps back before you take 3 steps forward.
Well, the guy on the mound has been an anchor at times in his career in terms of stabilizing rotations. James Shields, former Tampa Bay Ray.
There is nothing like pitching against one of your former teams. For James Shields, he's always had good luck against these boys. And 2 times out, he's thrown it pretty well. He gave up 4 in the first inning without getting anybody out in Kansas City and held them long enough through 6 so the team came back and won that ball game. Then in a blizzard, he threw the ball very well, only to see it get away late. He should have won that game, but unfortunately the bullpen was not there for him. But this is the ace of the staff. This is a guy that will lead the way. You look at what he's done against Tampa Bay with a 1.35 ERA. Yanni Chirinos going to the mound for the Rays, and this is what they do on bullpen days this year. The grand experiment, not so good. 0-3 with an ERA up over 4, and yet they want to go with 4 starting pitchers. This is their bullpen day. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm thinking the Sox are going to break the streak today. It's warm. It's lively at the ballpark. Let's hit a few home runs.
That's the plan.
That's
Sox
the plan.
and Rays, game number 3 before the trip to Minneapolis and Oakland. Let's get those fireworks going. Circle some pinwheels. Sox and Rays coming up.
Brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
Everybody's just a little happier today. It's sunny, it's warmer, it's pleasant out, it's getaway day, game 3 of the series. What a difference 20 degrees makes.
Well, Tampa Bay just happened to be going home. This has not been a particularly good trip, especially starting with Boston and New York. However, they're having a good series here, and with beautiful weather, pitchers can actually feel their hands, and the ball will be a lot more lively. I'm looking for an offensive day today.
Let's tell you about Kevin Cash's starting lineup. It changes a little bit because Kevin Kiermaier is back in after fouling a ball off his foot a couple of days ago. So Kiermaier in the 2 spot. Joey Wendell has had a very fine series. He's in the 5 position. And Sucre catches today, giving the day off for Wilson Ramos.
The defensive setup for the Rays, for our Sox, presented by UI Health. We'll take a look. It's Nicky and Adam and Abasail in the outfield. And it's Yolmer, Tim, Yohan, and Jose in the infield, with Omar Narvaez getting the nod behind the plate. And our Lexus experienced amazing starting pitcher is James Shields. He's had a couple of pretty good ball games. There you look at the numbers overall. Doesn't really illustrate how effective he was after the first 4 batters in Kansas City, but he's thrown it well. He'll have to really change speeds today and keep it down, but he once played for these Rays, and he's 3-0 lifetime against him, so he understands that for the Sox, losers of 5 in a row, this becomes a pretty big game for them. The umpires. Eric Cooper has a plate. He's a very pitcher-friendly umpire. Corey Blazer, Stu Sherwater, and Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, as we go around the bases. And on a gorgeous day for baseball, the wind is wafting out to left center field today, a radical departure from the last few days. And we're ready to play baseball, and that means Jason Benetti, take it away.
Well, we got play-by-play al fresco today. The windows are fully open. The sun's
great.
out.
I wanted them open the whole time, but I understand, if you get a little chilly,
Malfeasant color analyst Steve Stone is here. Strike number 1. Denard Span takes it, and we are underway here at Guaranteed Rate Field. So glad you could step out of your day to join us for White Sox baseball this afternoon, wherever you may be, whether at work or at home or on the go. Thanks for being here. That was an ugly swing from Span. 0-2 from Shields.
Good late movement on that one. It's out of the strike zone. Span went after it, but the ball just disappears. Really good movement on that.
No balls, 2 strikes on Denard Span, who's got 1 hit in this series. He's 1 for 7. Leadoff man for the Rays. James has been remarkably consistent in the pitches that he's thrown in his first 2 starts. Exactly 26 curveballs each of his first 2 starts.
He depends on really mixing them up. I mean, it depends on how he feels on a given day. Sometimes that changeup will be really prevalent for him. Other days he goes to the slow breaking ball or the cutter.
Yeah, sometimes it registers on StatCast as a cutter, sometimes it's a slider, but we've had that discussion before.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. The pitcher wants to make it have some depth. It'll be called a slider. If he wants to move it straight across, it'll be called a cutter. But it's what the pitcher does with the ball in his hand, and they call it anything they want to call it, basically.
2-2 chopped wide, so still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Your 2018 Chicago White Sox playing the Rays in game number 3 in this series. And they're presented by Guaranteed Rate, your trusted teammate throughout the mortgage process. Experience the difference today at rate.com. 2-2 once more. And Denard Span hits it high in the air. Finally, infielders having to battle the sunlight. And it's Tim Anderson to make the play with Yolmer Sanchez making the catch next to him.
Yeah, that's a la Andrus and Beltre in Texas. But Tim made the play. He's the captain of the infield, and you see it right there. Yolmer calling for it, and when he does give way, he just helps out Tim, showing him what it's like to look into the sun. He's a card, that Yolmer.
He is a card. Ricky Renteria called him loosey-goosey earlier today. Now Kevin Kiermaier, who we certainly would prefer him not be in the lineup.
He's wonderful defensively. probably as good as there is, maybe the best in the business, arguably. But if you look at the defensive numbers and runs saved, he's the leader.
Last 3 years, and when you talk about as good as it gets in center field, he is the guy, and there's nobody close in terms of what he does in the outfield.
What he gives them offensively will be a plus because he makes pitchers very happy. Now he's just coming back in the lineup. He fouled the ball off his foot, got a bone bruise, and he was out for a couple of days. It's the first time we've seen him in the series. It's a better outfield when you can put Gomez in right with Kiermaier in center, and now you got the speed burner Smith in left field.
Now you look at it, 89 to 50 defensive runs saved the last 3 years, plus 39. I mean, he's almost doubled the output of Kevin Pillar, who is very good in his own right.
As is Lorenzo Cain, and Byron Buxton is going to be one of those guys that's going to be up on the top of the charts before too long because there's nobody faster.
3-2 on Kiermaier. We'll see Buxton over the weekend. At least that's the hope.
We'll see him briefly amongst the snow showers.
Yes. The forecast is not as pleasant as it is here today for Minneapolis this weekend, let's say. Although tomorrow's game looks pretty good, and we have a very nice pitching matchup for you tomorrow with Lucas Giolito tangling with Jose Barrios. It's nice to see sunglasses in the crowd.
And no wind burns.
Check swing, ball low. He didn't go. 1-out walk for Kiermaier.
Unfortunately for the Washington Nationals, Adam Eaton has made another appearance on the disabled list with a bone bruise in his left ankle, so we wish him well. Matt Wieters activated from the disabled list. And Miguel Montero designated for assignment. Not too long ago, he was a very highly paid starting catcher, and now finds himself, at least for the moment, unemployed, but you'd have to figure he will find a job, and hopefully he will in the not too distant future.
One on, one out for Gomez. So for the Sox, that's now 3 straight games with a first inning walk. Very free swinging Carlos Gomez, who homered in yesterday's game. That was a 6th inning solo homer. He's 4 for 10 in the series. Two 2-0 from James Shields to his former team, Tampa Bay Rays. And if you talk to folks around the Rays organization, they will tell you that more than any other pitcher, James Shields was the catalyst for the development of that very good pitching staff in the 2000s.
Well, he loved 2008. Obviously, the Sox did not love it as Tampa Bay took them out of the playoffs. I talked with James last night. He was talking about that particular season and talking about his teammates and the coaching staff and how they came together as one. They made a very good run that year. He loved to play with and for Joe Madden.
And Joe Madden has said some very glowing things about James Shields and what he did for the young players. He told us about this outing specifically at spring training when he got to pitch in the World Series with Tampa Bay.
And what a thrill that is, and James threw it well. He does have a World Series win. You're looking at it. A thrilling moment for James Shields.
Rays are making him work here. Ball 4. Gomez is on. 2 on, 1 out, first inning.
C.J. Cron has big power the opposite way. So we'll have to see where Adam Engel sets up. And in this series, he has pounded the baseball. Not a whole lot to show for it, but he has shown he's awfully strong.
Yeah, he's hit at least 2 or 3 balls pretty hard that I can remember.
And Avi way back in right field, as he should be. The whole outfield, just maybe a couple of steps as a pull hitter.
Former Angel C.J. Cron. Third base side. Sanchez has only 1 play. It's across the way. And the Sox pick up the second out of the inning. Kiermaier to third. Gomez to second.
Be interesting to see what James does in this scenario, because he's got Wendell hitting .346, who's had a terrific series. That's a righty-lefty matchup. He's got Duffy in the on-deck circle. That's a righty-righty matchup, where a young pitcher would not even attempt to pitch around Wendell because he's not sure of his control. Let's see how James goes after him with the righty-righty matchup with Duffy awaiting.
Wendell slugging .615. That's 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run in 26 at bats so far. Strike one. 27-year-old out of Wilmington, Delaware, Joey Wendell. Talk about small school baseball. He came out of Westchester University of Pennsylvania, where he played for the Golden Rams.
As opposed to Kent State, which is the Golden Flashes.
Or Tulsa's Golden Hurricane. That's close.
James thought it was there. Eric Cooper thought it was down. You're going to get the benefit of the high strike this year. You're not going to get the benefit of the low strike.
Two and one. Now 3 balls and a strike. Duffy on deck. You think this is a pitch around? Or just a couple missed spots?
I believe that he's keeping everything way down out of the zone and hoping that a very young hitting Wendell will get himself out by going out of the strike zone. I think that's probably the game plan.
Again low, and ball 4. 3rd walk of the inning. Bases loaded, 2 out for Duffy.
You see where each and every pitch was. He was inviting Joey Wendell to just expand that strike zone, pound one into the ground, and get himself out. But Wendell, who has been around a bit, although he's still a very young player, was having none of it, leaving it up to the righty-righty matchup. It's one thing to think about the execution, make the execution. Now you retire Duffy, and no harm, no foul here in the 1st inning, except the pitch is piling up. 24 on the way.
Kiermaier at 3rd, Gomez at 2nd, Wendell at 1st. And strike one today, Matt Duffy, James Shields. That matchup brought to you by AARP. And those are good numbers for James.
I should be doing that read. You got a while yet for AARP.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, it was ironic. Is the intent there? Ball and a strike on Duffy.
Yeah, I'll talk about, you and I are big fans of Southpaw.
Oh, yeah.
And we have membership cards in the kids club. We're official members, and so we want to talk about that later. Well, later meaning after this pitch, assuming Duffy does not hit a ground ball to the left side.
Brought to you by AARP. 1-1. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Here it is. I got my card. Jason has his card. I have a lanyard, of course, being a senior member of the booth.
Yeah, very
You
senior.
have one that you can, you can glue on? Is that kind of the deal?
I just stick it to my face. But there's a new kids club, and that's what that's for. You go up in the left field corner in the Xfinity Fundamentals deck, and you sign up. It's free. Kids get their own membership card.
I think it's terrific. Membership has privileges.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Shields using his veteran leadership to strike out Duffy. Bases left loaded. Bottom 1. No score. Sports, Mitsubishi's, Genesis, and Hyundai's at the best price. Go to webcars.com. Same top 4 that we've seen. Nikki in the 5 spot. Yolmer back in at 3rd. Anderson, Narvaez, and Engel, your starting 9.
The defensive setup for the Rays presented by UI Health, and here's how Kevin Cash is going to put them out there with Smith, Kiermaier, and Gomez in the outfield. Duffy, Echeverria, Wendell, and Crone in the infield. Sucre behind the plate, and Yanni Sharonis on the hill as our Lexus experienced amazing starting pitcher. He's got a heavy sinker, and he's given up nothing. He has one of the great splits in the league that nobody has heard about, but we'll see it today. All in all, good stuff. He's probably going to throw 70 pitches today on their bullpen day.
He faces Moncada, and there's ball number 1. Well, Chirinos threw very well at Fenway Park. It was the Red Sox home opener, and he got him through 5 in less than 60 pitches.
It's because they pounded the ball into the dirt, and when he's right, that's what you'll see. You have to get a sinker baller early because he does have a lot of adrenaline. He's throwing harder than he probably would like to. And if you can get him before the sinker's working, you're going to hit line drives, you're going to hit some home runs. But if you see our Sox pounding the ball into the ground, it's going to be a tough day because that means Chirinos with that splitter and that sinker is very good today.
1-1, and that one in the dirt. So now 2-1.
If they do get a shot at him in the first inning, they have got to cash it in, because he will get tougher as that sinker starts working more and more. Right now, he doesn't have a good release point with 2 way down out and 1 above belt high.
On the ground, right side of the infield, and 1 away. Who was the best that you've seen, or a guy that comes to mind that was a sinker or a splitter guy that was able to harness it very early in games? Is there anybody that hits you, or is it just across the board it's a difficult situation to deal with?
Well, it is for starters. You know, Bruce Sutter went to the Hall of Fame because of his splitter, so there was no margin for error. When he came into the game to lock it down, that splitter had to be perfect, and it usually was. As far as good sinker ballers around baseball, there's a lot of them. Just take a look at every one of those guys that has a very steady ground ball to fly ball ratio. You remember a few years back, you might not, but he was around. His name was Kevin Brown.
In the air, right side. Gomez into foul territory, reaching toward the wall. He goes into the crowd, and he made the play. Unreal job by Gomez for out number 2.
Give a little credit to Corey Blazer because he went over sprinting to the play to see if Gomez did indeed make the catch, and he goes in, balances himself on the rail, and comes back out with the baseball. Big effort. Gomez with a fine play, able to secure it before he hits the rail and almost goes up and over, but steadies the ship. That doesn't happen in center field.
No. 2 down for Abreu. And there's a strike. You're talking about Kevin Brown, former Marlin and Dodger and Yankee.
And he got a big contract to go to the Marlins, big contract to go with the Dodgers. That included, by the way, 12 plane trips a year with the family, which was kind of nice. But he had a 3.5 or 4-to-1 ground ball to fly ball ratio, and he had a sinker that just dove off the table. He just couldn't hit it in the air. That's one of the reasons why he was as steady as he was. Greg Maddux had a wonderful sinker, parlayed it into a Hall of Fame career with 355 wins. And there's pitchers who will get that sinker early. Most of those guys aren't the Blazers, though. The guys who throw hard sinkers, those are the guys prone to giving up some home runs in the first inning.
So who would the Blazers be other than Corey?
Well, he's one of the Blazers. Yeah, he is. And he showed that he can sprint. One of the Blazers is this guy. Chirinos says he's got a hard sinker.
Corey's like, why did I get dragged into this?
Yeah. Family heritage.
2-1 from Chirinos. Hard hit to third, and Duffy once again up to the task at third base. The pick by Crone, And a 1-2-3 inning, 2 on the ground for the 24-year-old Chirinos. No score. To cross our footprint is Chuck Garfien. Hi, Chuck.
How you doing there, Jason? Humble beginnings for today's starter for the White Sox, James Shields. He was drafted by the Rays in 2000, and he had injuries in his early part of his minor league career. And so at one point, his first cousin and good friend, a guy we all know, Aaron Rowand, said, you know what, you got to work out with me in the offseason. So he had James come out to Las Vegas and work out with him. Well, the workout started at 6 a.m. James showed up one day at 6:01, and Aaron sent him home because he wasn't there at 6 a.m. sharp. In fact, he was so afraid of being late. One night he was out with his friends, and he decided, you know what, I don't want to be late. So he drove to the parking lot of the facility and slept in his car so he wouldn't be late. He was there on time, and ever since that time, he has stayed healthy, and he's barely been on the DL. So I think part of his career success belongs to his good friend and cousin Aaron Rowand.
You know, I did a couple games with Aaron at Dodger Stadium last year, Chuck, and he said be there by 3. I showed up at 3:01 and he threw me out.
That's Aaron.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You got to be on time.
That's dedication, though. I mean, look, you have to have somebody to push you, right, Stoney?
If you're not early, you're late is the saying that most people go by, and Aaron Rowand, one of those guys that believes in that. Chuck, I got to tell you, your reports are so much better without your teeth chattering that I can't believe it.
I got rid of the jacket.
You're thought out today. This is amazing. It's not blue Chuck anymore. It's our Chuck.
It is 59 degrees. It feels like 89 after what we've been going through here.
Isn't that amazing? Ball forward to Malik Smith, and he is not the guy you want to walk.
No, however, he is the guy you can pick off. And James has about the best move around, and you can be sure that Smith is being told that right now. Don't get too adventuresome on your lead at first, or he's going to erase you. Shields has, from the time he came into this league, one of the best moves from the right side of any pitcher in the game. But that is 4 walks, and that's a lot of pitches. Pitch number 34 with nobody out here in the second.
For a guy who'd walked 2 in his first 2 starts combined, 1 in each of his first 2 starts.
That was not his best move. But that's a setup move, and I think he's being told at this point that he's got a better one than that.
James Shields' career high in walks is 6. He's 2 short of his career high through 7 batters in this game. On the ground and through. It's a base hit for Echeverria. Smith to second base. And the Rays have 2 on, nobody out in this second inning.
Last year, this team was very aggressive on the first pitch, and this year, no exception. Last year, 35.5% of the time, they were swinging at the first pitch. So Echeverria takes the first pitch into left field, and James is in trouble once again. Looking for the double play ground ball from a catcher who, like most catchers, doesn't run particularly well.
Jesus Sucre, 3 for 9 on the season so far, native of Venezuela, in for Ramos this afternoon. And the bunt, first base side, rolling foul. Sox fans, the White Sox take on the Houston Astros Saturday, April 21st at 6:10 p.m. on the first pitch. First 15,000 will get a White Sox quarter zip pullover presented by Guaranteed Rate, your trusted teammate throughout the mortgage process. Get started today at rate.com. Visit whitesox.com. First 15,000 it was scheduled. Now it's first 14,997 because Steve has swiped 3 of them. Oh, the dirty look I'm getting.
I can't believe that. When I make a major purchase and you say that I have absconded with 3, I don't think so. So pretty good idea. If Sucre is indeed going to bunt, you got a much better chance at second than at third because Smith is going to take as big a lead as he can, and he is a burner. On the other side of the equation, Echeverria has decent speed, but a candidate on a hard bunt to be forced at second.
He lays it down. Shields comes out and flips it to Moncada, covering at first. So Smith to third, Echeverria to second. Sucre gets the job done and hands it back to the 2 lefties at the top of the lineup.
Gotta be a little careful on that little toss throw that you make. Throw with something on it, because that one almost got over Yuan's head. Now you worry about one of their most prolific run producers, and he happens to be at the top, a man with a whole lot of experience, Denard Span.
And if you know anything about Denard Span from this series, it's that he's going to give you a quality at bat. He's going to see some pitches. So second and third, 1 out. The Rays, who in this series have scored first both times. Third inning yesterday, first inning 2 days ago. And ball 1. Here is the StatCast look at where the sac fly ball would need to go. Green means you got a very good shot of scoring a run. Yellow is average. Red means stop.
Well, also you have a guy who can really run, and now he's picked off.
How about
Execution,
that?
boys. Before
Tags on. He's out. Behind the play, Echeverria goes to third. You said it, Malik Smith is right for the picket, and there it was.
Well, this is a guy that is a young player, very adventuresome, and a good move by James Shields, well coordinated by Yolmer. You have to believe that they had this going on before the game. If the situation presents, this is a guy you go after on the base paths. Narvaez with a bobbing and weaving. Malik Smith pounds the plate, but tagged beforehand, and on the play, Echeverria moves to third. James a pitch away from getting out of this inning, what looked like a troublesome inning.
Adversity here in the inning. James trying to finish off the Rays here in the second as Span takes ball 2. Yeah, it's got to be before the game, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a scenario that a veteran pitcher will go over and say, look, if this situation presents itself, let's do this early before he gets his rhythm on the base paths.
Watch Omar where the ball was. So he had it in the right hand and then just barely got it into the glove to make the tag. And a strike in, 3-1 on Span.
Tim Anderson up the middle. Outfield shifted a touch toward right.
It's walk number 5 for James Shields. So a rare 5-walk game for James. That is number 9 of his very lengthy career. His 9th 5-walk or more game in his history.
Now we have a meeting at the mound. They've straightened it out. Sox starters have walked 5 or more men in 3 of the last 4 games, and when you do that, you're likely to go on a 5-game losing streak. So, look, nobody has any intention of going out and walking people, but James, one of those walks was a pitch around to Wendell, so take that out of the equation. It's still far too many walks. And on a day when you can feel your fingers for the first time in a long time, it's unusual to see James, who has pinpoint control, have this kind of control issue.
Here's Kiermaier, who had one of those walks in the first inning. And he takes ball number 1. Some days you come out of the bullpen, it's just not there, right?
Well, the bullpen, you can have a great bullpen. I mean, you can feel terrific. You can't take it out to the mound with you. Conversely, you can be just awful out there, and it comes to you on that walk to the mound. You never really know.
Some days you just go buy a pretzel.
It's not a bad thing. Pretzels are good, and they've thawed out. They're even better. They're a little warm. Love them with mustard. And when you get to Cleveland with me, I'm going to show you the ballpark mustard that you put on those pretzels right there, and you become delirious. It's so good.
Do I have to wear a Skull t-shirt while I eat it?
You can do whatever you like, young fella, except read that ARP promo again. And there is a Southsider till he dies.
That's a good shirt. What about cheese on a pretzel? You good with that?
You can do that too. Okay. I can't personally, but you can. You eat cheese on floor shines.
2-1 from Shields. 2 on. And this one into left. Delmonico is there. Well, a little bit of a Rube Goldberg device from James Shields, but it got the job done.
In Chicago, you can join Scott Posednik, Doug Glanville, and Layla Rahimi tomorrow at 6:30 on NBC Sports Chicago.
What happened to Ozzy?
I think that Ozzy will be around depending on his availability or the sanity of Layla. If she stays sane, Ozzy will do more shows. If not, well, you never know.
We'll talk to Layla coming up, I believe, in the 5th inning today for an update. She was heckling Will Perdue yesterday when he stopped by the booth.
Pretty good job of getting out of 2 innings by Houdini, otherwise known as James Shields.
Yeah, James Shields, master escapist. 5 walks first 2 innings, no runs. And Matt Davidson, a towering foul ball. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of games for 2 years old.
50 wins?
Well, 50
wow.
games.
50 games, not 50 wins, but he's rooting for 50 wins.
How about that?
Pretty good.
Is that the youngest season ticket holder we have? Do we think the little one just sometimes gets in her little car and drives here herself, or what?
Never know. I don't think they're that quite advanced. However, you know, just as a rule for all your parents, grandparents, bring your kids to the ballpark, because you will ingrain in them a love of this beautiful game of ours. And you can't start too early. It starts obviously with a love of the concession stands and goes to the baseball field.
Well, for a lot of people, it is a game you fall in love with when you're keeping score. Sit in the stands, you follow every pitch. I mean, it's the one game where you can literally record every action on the diamond and have a keepsake of the game when you go home. Could try that in basketball. Would get a little crazed on your paper. 2-2. Davidson hits it in the air, right center field, and it does not carry enough. Kiermaier is underneath for out number 1.
Tell me about your first game. First game you ever saw. I assume it was in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, it was here. It was in this ballpark. First game. I remember a lot of games here. But I remember, the one thing I remember about my first game in this ballpark is I don't remember the opponent, but I do remember that we were about 2 rows from the upper deck's top level.
I remember those seats because I was in them also, not here in Cleveland Stadium, and I'll tell you about that.
Yeah. As I recall, this is a little petulant as there's a base hit for Nicky. So he's on for his base runner for the Sox. I think I remember asking my dad to give me a piggyback ride down the stairs, which at this point seems very dangerous, right?
Well,
like,
especially because it was 2 weeks ago. I mean, that was a little bit much.
I mean, look, some days it's a little easier to get the ride. No, yeah, second or third row from the top, and it was fun. It was a great time, and you know, I've been to hundreds of games here since then, but I do remember the first game was up in the upper deck, and you get to see basically everything happening up there.
It's a wonderful experience, and mine was at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland.
Remember who it was against?
No, I just remember eating everything in sight, but the indelible impression was we walked also in the upper deck. And as we walked up, I had never seen a major league field. I never saw more green in my life than when I first was able to take a look at that field, and it has stuck with me ever since. It was a stirring view, and I thought, boy, this is just beautiful. How could anything get more beautiful than this?
To first and Crone, little juggle, spin it to second, and that's all they'll get. But there's nothing really like the ballet of baseball out in front of you, playing on the grass.
You know, it was beautiful and memorable. Nice play by C.J. Crone, because he could have easily just taken the out at first base after juggling the ball, but he showed you a very strong arm, getting the force at second, making sure that no runners in scoring position.
It's up to Tim. He was 2 for 9 in this series. He doubled yesterday and had a hit in game 1 as well. Quick tag by Crone, and Sanchez just barely got back.
This is a very good move, and Yomer just barely back into the tag on the body, but he had the hand in.
There was a look at first base by Eric Cooper toward the dugout to see if Kevin Cash wanted to challenge that play, and the answer is no.
But the tag on the body and the hand in, you don't want to waste one this early. A lot of base hits for Tim if he decides to go to the right side. Now, he's been basically a pull hitter. We've seen that, and so has the Tampa defense.
But when he was going well late last season, the ball was flying to right field for him.
And if he adopts that again, I mean, you could drive a battalion through the right side.
You often drive battalions through Wednesday day games?
Yes, with a vacated right side, I try to do that as much as I can.
Brush to third. Duffy just got him. Couple of ground balls to finish the inning for Chirinos. We are still scoreless through 2.
Game.
What do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be, if I were to guess, and of course I do quite a bit on occasion, I would think it's going to be an Jose Abreu home run next time he comes to bat.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I think. We'll go with that, and then if it doesn't happen, we won't mention it again ever.
That is very true.
Okay.
You're better than most meteorologists in terms of your accuracy and hit rate. You called the Saladino first hit yesterday.
I went up to him and I thanked him at the event last night, the United Center, which, by the way, raised a lot of money for White Sox charities. It was a beautiful event. We had a great time.
Here's a bunt, third base side. You said he'd do this too. Gomez with a bunt to lead off the third.
We hadn't seen it in a series, and you figure that it's going to come, and he can do it both ways. That's what makes him so effective. He can certainly drag it, which he did there. He can push it to the right side, which he usually saves for left-handers. And he saw Yolmer back. And this is a good play, because with his speed still, even though it's not quite it once was, he was able to beat the play easily.
So the leadoff man on for the second time in as many innings for Tampa Bay. And Shields at 47 pitches with the 5 walks to his name so far. Check swing and no go.
Crone is the original good man for 2, and getting him looking away early in the count on that slider or the off-speed pitch away really sets up the inside pitch. However, he is far from the plate. We want to get him to a position where he's not looking for it, but James is going to throw him another off-speed pitch, and he's going to try to keep it away.
And it's fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Normally with 2 away, you want to bury that fastball in. If you do, you'll get the ground ball to the left side, and with Crone running, likely to be 2. But there's very little margin for error inside, so let's see where James decides to go with this one. Another off-speed pitch, likely away.
Check swing. He did go 1 and 2 on Crone.
We'll take a look. As it so often happens on this, you can't really tell, but Fortunately, Corey Blazer could.
And he nailed it. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Second punch out for James. James in spring training spent some time with the social media gurus of Major League Baseball, Jake Mintz and Jordan Schusterman, playing fungo golf with Carson Fulmer. James had one that he popped straight up in the air, but eventually the veteran leadership came in first. James Shields, Carson Fulmer, locking horns in fungo. You ever play fungo golf?
You know, it's one of the things that I'm sad to say I've never participated in.
We should do that as a crew.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say probably right when we come back from Mozambique. That's a long road trip, by the way.
It is, especially when you have to stop in Beijing on the way and play a 3-gamer. Jake and Jordan do a fantastic job on Twitter, by the way, at Cespedes Barbecue. They call themselves Cespedes Family Barbecue. Would you like to go?
No.
To the barbecue?
But thanks.
They're Major League Baseball employees, sometimes surprising themselves even. Ball of no strikes on Wendell. Gomez at first, 1 down. Who was it that was telling us? I want to say it was Scott Service, right? That had he had Mariners Olympics.
Yeah, from the upper deck.
Yeah.
They hit the baseball. He wanted to keep the team loose, and that was a pretty good way to do it.
He had a bunch of different events set up. They essentially had like a round robin of all these different games for the Mariners, just trying to keep the team mentally engaged.
He's got himself a pretty good team this year, so we'll have to see what happens year after year. Everybody says this might be the year for Seattle. They're off to a 5-4 start, 2.5 games in back of both Los Angeles and Houston. So Seattle's staying right there. They're certainly within reach. Oakland and Texas, not so much.
There goes the runner, and Gomez is going to have to go back because that one's sprayed foul.
Great play by the ball boy. It shows you good hands, and it shows you if you're going to be around the field, and that means in the stands also, you better be aware.
That's the epitome of act like you've been there. Ball and 2 strikes on Wendell. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That's as uncomfortable as we've seen Joey Wendell.
Hey guys, James Shields, his dad gave him some good advice as a young pitcher, and it was if you don't like it, meaning if you don't like the criticism of your pitching, if you're not pitching well, just pitch better. And that became his mantra. The mantra being if you don't like it, pitch better. And they actually put that in the Rays clubhouse when he played for the Rays. I was talking to Dave Wills, the longtime voice of the Rays, and he said that, Jason, you touched on it earlier, he says that he thinks James might be the most important pitcher in Rays history, as he set the template for others to follow, like Price, Cobb, Archer, Snell, but that's history for him right now. He wants the Rays to be history in this inning.
Well, also, one of the great things he does for this club, regardless of what he does win and loss wise, is help the young pitchers to understand what it's like to go through a full major league season.
On the ground up the middle, Tim is over. He gloves it and throws out Duffy to retire the side. So the Rays have left 6 on base through 3 today and still no runs.
begins for the last game of the season. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Bulls pregame live, or you can stream the game live on the NBC Sports app. Tell you how flexible Joe Corneo is, and we go back a long way. Joe Corneo and I, he's in the booth with us today helping us. He cut the promos to very little size, and I like larger promos, and so he taped them back together again, giving me a lot easier time to read them. Joe is nothing if not versatile. It's nice to see him in the booth.
If only he was there with Humpty Dumpty, he could have put them back together again.
He'd make a good effort.
That's all you can ask. Here's Omar, who takes a strike. Hey, you mentioned last night the Chicago White Sox charities event.
Yes.
And part of that event, which raised quite a bit of money for White Sox charities, and there's a great video about the ACE program and everything the Sox have done to help underprivileged future baseball players have a place to play. And everybody involved, Jerry Reinsdorf, Howard Pizer, Christine O'Reilly, Sarah Martin. Part of that event was a game involving the players. They had a little game of Family Feud on stage at the end. And the reason I bring it up is because when we play Sox Math in the top of the 4th inning, we have swiped a little trinket from last night's event that you may want for your Sox memorabilia shelf, as Omar has a leadoff single here in the 3rd, and once again Narvaez goes the opposite way.
Also, Smith was shallow. He was not shallow enough.
So what we took from yesterday's Family Feud event was a name tag that Steve is going to show for you.
Not just any name tag.
Yeah.
It is Yolmer's name tag.
Yeah, he was one of the heads of the teams. There it is.
Best part about it is there's a magnet on the back, so you can actually put the magnet inside your jersey, and it will stick to your chest like super glue. You can't get it off, but it is handsome.
There's a bunt chopped high in the air and foul. You can win it playing Sox Math.
Well, Jason, I hate to throw you under the bus on the air here.
No, you don't.
Actually, I kind of want to. Well, no, I just want to say that Yolmer thinks you cheated during the game.
It's only because he did.
And he thought you were in cahoots with Nicky Delmonico.
It's only because he was.
There was the Delmonico family and the Sanchez family. And the Sanchez family was not happy with the results, and they believed you, as the host of this game, cheated. Your thoughts?
My thoughts were that I never wanted to leave the stage because the 4 of them were standing at the bottom of the stairs very menacingly, threatening to injure me.
You called for security.
Yeah, I did, and I asked if there was another exit too. Here's the thing, Chuck. You guys, you saw it.
I did.
The amazing part about that was these guys were really into it. Adam Engel was on one of the teams, on Yolmer's team. Now they're talking, which is good news. After the first wrong answer by Yolmer's team, I looked over to the other team, the Delmonico family, and they were huddled up talking about their answer if they had a chance to steal. Like, they took it very seriously.
Yeah, and I think they were talking in multiple languages because Jose Abreu was in that group.
That's true. That's true. It was a very intense affair. But the good news is, as you see, Nicky and Yolmer are talking again.
Well, friendly competition, I think, is pretty good. You were the Richard Dawson, I guess, then of the event last night?
Yeah, but without the extracurriculars that Richard provided. None of that, thank you. Engel against Chirinos, nobody out. Omar at first. And a foul ball from Adam Engel.
Jason, I think the final tally was White Sox charities raised $300,000 or around that amount, approximately.
How cool is that, huh?
Yeah, that's really impressive and a nice job by everybody. Christine O'Reilly, Sarah Martin did just a wonderful job. She should be singled out because, I mean, she worked and worked and worked to put this together. First year event. They obviously have a lot of events for White Sox charities, but this was the first event at the United Center. It was brilliant, well decorated. Sarah Martin deserves a round of applause. Thanks, Sarah.
Steve knows how to command a microphone, but well done, Sarah and everybody. A great event, and here's hoping we get to do it again in the future. 3-2 on Adam. Narvaez at first. Here you see some of the sights from the event last night. Frank Thomas was there as well, signing autographs for fans as part of a live auction.
Very large man is Frank Thomas.
3 balls, 2 strikes from Chirinos. Adam takes downstairs. Nice work. 2 on, nobody out for the Sox in the 3rd.
Now this is the bullpen day. However, Chirinos is probably going to be the 4th starter on this team. So he's kept at a minimum of pitches so far at 28. And if you do throw ground balls, and he does, you're always looking for the double play in a situation like this. So we're going to see a few other pitchers from the Tampa Bay team. But eventually, in the not too distant future, Chirinos will be most likely in the starting rotation somewhere.
Well, best laid plans, right? The idea for the Rays was 4 guys in the rotation, 1 bullpen day. That was the plan. You got extra off days this season, starting the season earlier. But then right at the end of spring training, Nathan Eovaldi blows out, and suddenly you've got 3 starters that you want to use and 2 bullpen days coming up, which really seems unsustainable.
It is that. And it's going to be rectified shortly as soon as they stretch out Chirinos.
0-2 on Moncada.
That was a high change, and that one will be tattooed. Maybe a year from now, maybe a little less than that. When Yuan gets one of those, a high change up in the zone, he's going to hit it a long way. He's very strong. And that time he got his pitch and fouled it back.
That was the one pitch that was the trouble spot for him, especially last year with the Sox, was the changeup. Oh, 2. He tried another one and it's fouled away.
He's got an exceptional splitter, and at times it's as good a splitter as there is in the game. And so with that splitter, to go with the sinker, he's got to throw enough high fastballs so you change the eyesight for the hitter. If they're looking at one spot, and that is a sinker and a splitter in the same spot, they're going to eventually get to you. But if you mix in the high fastball and then change the sight level of the hitter, now you got something.
2 strikes. It's downstairs.
There's 3 on the right side. Thinking that Moncada will pull the ball that way, but leaving a whole lot of room on the left side if Yuan can shoot it through there.
Sox have withstood so many chances from the Rays early in this game. To get on the board in advance of Tampa would be a great sign. 1-2. Again low, and again picked by Sucre. 2-2.
Adam Engel has to get a good secondary lead. The reason is on a ground ball, and we know that Chirinos throws a lot of them, Adam's going to have to either take out the pivot man, which is going to be Wendell, or he's got to get down there to beat the play. Because I don't think they're going after Narvaez unless, of course, this ball is squibbed to the left side.
Yeah, there aren't many places over in third where you're going to get that lead runner. 2-2. Strike 3. First strikeout for Chirinos. 1 down.
It actually was a high splitter, and it drifted away from Yuan. You see the movement on that one? That's a splitter that wasn't where he wanted to throw it, but the movement was so violent at the end that Yuan just couldn't catch up to it.
That's another one that came out like a changeup in terms of its movement away from the batter.
What happens is sometimes you catch a seam a little bit differently when you split your fingers, and it pulls the ball away from the left-hander. You try to get it on both sides of the little horseshoe in the baseball, but sometimes you catch a seam and it drifts like that. Or pitchers that can do that by design are very tough.
They come out to the park April 23rd through the 25th. The Sox take on the Mariners, who we were just talking about. Everybody in attendance gets a 2018 White Sox wall calendar featuring Abreu, Moncada, and more. Get your tickets at whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. All this runners stranded stuff has to end at some point.
You would hope so, and this is the time for it. If not, it'll It'll be the time for Jose next.
Oh, 2 on Avi.
Now's a good time for Omar to get a little more substantial lead. Even with Wendell behind him, they're not going to go to try to pick him off. But what he has to do, because you figure that Chirinos is going to bury one in the dirt, whether it's a sinker or a splitter, on a short pass ball, it'd be nice to see Omar at third base.
He just broke back to second on a look from Chirinos. Second glance. High in the air and foul.
That wasn't where he wanted to throw that fastball, but very hittable for Avi at 95. Fouled it straight back.
Beautiful sunlight overhead, just some wispy clouds in the area. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday afternoon on Getaway Day. The Sox will be in Minneapolis starting tomorrow night. Back in the Central Division. 0-2 from Chirinos. One stayed up as well.
He's still very young at 24 years old, getting his feet wet in the major leagues. An older pitcher would have buried one by now because he's leaving it up in the zone. For him, that's not a good spot to be thigh high, and most of this at bat has been spent there. You do have a veteran catcher. Sucre is a good one also. Defensively, he's very good. He's got a pretty strong arm.
Oh, 2 one more time. And he got him swinging with a breaking ball. So the second strikeout for the Sox in the game. And here's Abreu.
In this scoreless game with the hits tied at 2, it's been an errorless game, and let's see if Jose can put the Sox on top. Outfield shading him to right center field. Big gap in left center, right to the Wintrust sign. So split the United, the Wintrust, and the Chicago Beer. Take it against the wall, you score 2 with Engel speed at first base.
Omar is single. Adam walked. Back-to-back strikeouts for Chirinos, his first 2. Almost sounded like it clipped him. Abreu says it hit him, and it did. Yeah, I thought I heard the ball hit twice, and it did. So bases loaded, 2 out.
Well, he can't be our Miller moment getting hit like that, but he does load the bases as Chirinos catches the lead elbow. Maybe a bit of the thigh with it.
That would be really tough to overturn for Kevin Cash, so you wouldn't expect him to challenge there.
I think they're taking a look at it, but I don't think there'll be a challenge. Jose has been hit in 3 of the last 4 games. They tried to throw the ball in on him, but that was not a fastball. That looked like a splitter. Again, that he was looking for movement in. He got it, but too far in.
Ball's really flying on him, that splitter right now.
Yeah, it is.
Bases loaded, 2 out. And now Sucre will go out to the mound.
He was one of those visits because this becomes one of the defining moments in the game.
So Snyder, the pitching coach, dispatched.
If you've been with us, we've told you that Kyle Snyder came up from the minor leagues. With Jim Hickey going to the Cubs, where he's reunited with Joe Madden, and they really worked well hand in hand, the Rays thought about a lot of different choices and decided on Kyle Snyder for the simple reason that he had most of these guys in the minor leagues. So he didn't have to have a crash course in who's who when he came to the team because he had them when they were early in their careers. And helping a guy develop and seeing him in the major leagues, they all of a sudden developed a trust. They have trust in Kyle Snyder because he was there at the development stage. Now he's there in the major leagues. I think it's a wise choice for Tampa. And I think when you can promote from within, it's a wise choice for the entire organization.
Especially with comfort for the pitchers. I mean, they know what he's teaching. So Snyder's finished, Chirinos ready, and Matt Davidson trying to crack this one open. He takes strike 1. all those splitters, and he just pours in strike one right down the pipe.
The guy has the sinker he has and the splitter he has, which is among the league's best. Hard to take first ball fastballs.
We may not see another one. Oh, 1. 0-2.
That looked like a cutter. It slid straight across at 89. And apparently this young man, everything comes out of his hand moves a different way, so he's not easy to square up. And again, first year in the major leagues, just 24 years old, out of Venezuela. I think they've got themselves a good one.
Davidson calls time. Chirinos was very good for the TBA team in the postseason. Durham team that's always loaded with all the young talent coming through this organization. 12 innings, 1 earned run for the TBA champions in the playoffs last year, as he comes very close to striking out Davidson, who walked 3 times yesterday, 1 and 2.
Able to lay off the low fastball and keep the at bat alive.
Omar singled, Angle walked, Jose Abreu hit. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That one almost got Nicky as it bounced over his head. But not only the ball boys have to be alert, but the guys who are very close to the on-deck circle. And there is a look at Delmonico. You see how close he is. He wants to see that sinker up close and personal. Hit it hard the first time, took it right back up the middle for a base hit. And he'd love for this inning to stay alive and him to come to bat, because that would mean at least 1 run.
On 1 and 2. Called strike 3 on the corner. Davidson frozen. Chirino strikes out the side. And the Sox maroon the bases loaded.
You're attacking that like a hungry bear.
Yeah, so you can just watch me get it on myself.
Very nice.
It's pretty gross. This is one of the new items in the ballpark. Mark from the ballpark brought some food for us. We figured we'd show you. There you go. Thanks, Mark.
Very nice.
I love that you're eating salads now.
Well, I have a brand new diet. Water and salads. Very good.
Very healthy. We'll play Sox math this inning. You can win a leftover horseshoe if you'd like, or you can win Yolmer's name tag or some other goodies, including that quarter zip that's coming up as a giveaway here at the ballpark. Sox couldn't find a couple of runs out of a good, promising third inning. So James Shields trying to get it right back to the offense. 1-2 for Smith. And a wave and a miss for strike three. So Malik Smith, who was picked off earlier, swings through. Strikeout number 4 for Shields.
James took a whole lot off that one. He had Smith out on the front foot. You can hit out on the front foot if you keep your hands back. You can't hit out on the front foot if your hands come forward. You see the hands come forward, the ball's not there. That's called deception more than anything else. Again, if you tip off your change or slow curveball, you'll see a hitter's hands go back, and then you know you're in trouble. If his hands come forward with his front foot, he's in trouble.
And a lot of that is on the setup, right? On how you pitched him in the sequence.
Sure, you get him to the point where he's looking fastball or he's looking for something in. You throw the slow breaking ball away. James has been doing that for many years. And Smith, no match for him this time.
Well, Echeverria wanted to go fishing there and at the last moment decided not to. Well, it's a new wave of baseball, right? The true outcomes, the walk, the strikeout, the home run, and it's been walks and strikeouts galore for the Rays offensively today. Shields 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, no runs on the board, just a couple of hits.
It's possible to get a true outcome of a few doubles for the Sox. Is that doable?
Well, it's true that that could be an outcome, but it's not a true outcome. We call them true outcomes because if a ball's hit in play, then there's probability that goes into it of whether or not it's going to be a hit. Walks, strikeouts, and home runs are self-explanatory.
Yes, to everybody but me. And that young man has a souvenir which is delightful.
There you go, underselling yourself on what's self-explanatory to you. Sandbagger.
Well,
Rosenbagger. 2-2 is inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Echeverria.
I prefer Bagger Vance. It was a wonderful movie.
Steve's film corner coming up.
Between innings, I will get to this delightful salad.
Never thought I'd hear those words out of your mouth.
Nor I.
So proud of you. 3-2. Swing and a pop-up. Moncada for out number 2.
You do that on occasion, and you're going to have a really good ball game because Echeverria, either one, both of them actually, saw the slow breaking ball that was thrown to Smith, and James, knowing that perhaps he's looking for something like that, buzzed the fastball in on his hands. You see, most of the at-bat was pretty much spent inside. In fact, 4 of the 7 pitches were inside, with the 7th really tying him up.
We've seen now in a pair of his starts, James Shields really showing why it's important to have a veteran pitcher on a young staff.
Well, but the majority of the work doesn't come out on the mound. It comes in the clubhouse. It comes on road trips. It comes on buses. It comes on planes. That's when James will tell the youngsters what he'd like them to expect. I mean, what to look for, how to get over some tough spots. I'm sure he's going to talk to Carson Fulmer, or has already, about the performance yesterday, because Carson didn't have his good stuff, and he also got hit with one, and that didn't help him very much. But Carson's going to benefit from having James around, as is Lucas. I mean, all the young pitchers will, because of the experience of James Shields.
And Shields aces the Rays here in the 4th. Bookend strikeouts. A 1-2-3 inning for James. No score after 3.5. What is it today? Number of MLB teams James Shields has pitched for, multiplied by the number of postseason starts he's made. That's your question for today. Hashtag SoxMath on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize off the prize show. We have the Yolmer name tag on the shelf today. The winter hat, water bottle as well. No score, fourth inning, Sox and Rays. And first pitch hunting. Nicky Delmonico fouls it away. Here is a look at what you can win this lovely afternoon, including Yolmer's name tag.
And we have a capless gnome who had one of those till he took a tumble over the winter. And I believe he lost the top of his cap.
He was a horseman back in the day. Nicky pops it up right side of the infield. And there's out number one. Thanks for joining us. Our entire crew is here. Chuck Hartfine downstairs, Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, along with you for game 3 of this series. Still awaiting our first run as the Sox will head to Minneapolis. The Rays will be off tomorrow before playing again at home. We won't be in Tampa until August.
Well, the ghosts will wait for you.
Yes, indeed.
I'm making arrangements for a few surprises.
Can't wait. 1-out pitch is a strike. Boy, Chirinos has, I mean, he's got stuff.
No, his stuff is electric. And the question is, and you'd love to see the pitch count rise dramatically because he's probably going to go 70 pitches. Unlike some teams, you want him out of there and into the bullpen. That splitter is at times ridiculous to try to hit. Oh, and by the way, you greeted that food enthusiastically, pretty much like an enraged beaver. You have sawed through both of these dishes unbelievably well. Me, I get a few crumbs of lettuce and a chicken spritz.
On the ground, second base. Wendell could never want a chicken. 2 out as we take a look at the farm report brought to you by Guaranteed Rate. Last night the Kannapolis Intimidators walked off. Craig Dinelo with the single to win it for the Eyes against the Asheville Tourists. Then they turned around and played a day game today.
They're Iron Man.
They won again.
Look at this. Kannapolis is loaded.
Former Louisville Cardinal Lincoln Hensman, 6 1/3, 4 earned runs.
They're 5-2. Congratulations on a good start.
Yes, indeed. And Tim Anderson sprays it to the right side, as we were talking about. It's a 2-out single.
There's a lot of base hits to right and right center field, and if he continues to do that, he's going to hit very close or at 300. Power is there, and now he's looking to the opposite field. Picks on a first ball fastball. That's something that I think we're going to see more of from this Sox lineup against Chirinos, because you can't get him to the point where he can throw you that wipeout splitter. People, when they make any contact, they're hitting the top of the baseball, pounding it into the ground, or just plain missing it.
Here's Narvaez. 2 out, 1 on. See if he ambushes Chirinos.
Got to be careful because Chirinos does have a good move to first base, so Tim doesn't want to get too adventuresome down there. And Sucre's got a good arm. This is not an easy combination to run against, but it is an easy combination to get picked off. Especially with a left-hander, Sucre doesn't mind going behind him on a secondary lead by Tim.
Close play.
That just missed, and now they want to take a look at it because Crone believes that they got the hand before it was back in. So they're going to take a look. We're going to slow this one down a bit for you and see what they saw in the dugout. Good move. This is a very quick move to first. Looks to me like he's out, but we'll have to see what happens.
They are going to challenge. And you and I both think that's a good challenge.
Well, look, we told you about the good move. It's a terrific move. And if you get too adventuresome, if you take that lead, if you're not thinking about going back, then you got a problem, and Kevin Cash thinks that indeed they did get him. We'll have to see if there's definitive proof because the call was safe.
You need to have enough video evidence to overturn the call. You hear the term indisputable video evidence and definitive proof, and what that means is there should not be any doubt of the decision. It's not, well, we really think that. It's, we know that the play should be overturned. A reasonable man told me that.
Really?
No. We've been hunting for the reasonable man for years.
Well, if you're Warren Zevon, it would be an excitable boy, but it's a reasonable man because you're not, which is a good thing because he's no longer here. And we'll see. And he is out.
That's the right call upon replay. So Anderson picked off, and Omar will lead off the fifth. Still goose eggs on the board for the Sox and Rays. To the fifth we go.
TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1.
That is a good old-fashioned lunch right there.
Oh, one of my faves, the Vienna beef hot dog at the ballpark. You can't beat it. It is Dollar Dog Day, or shall we say the Dog Day afternoon, and it's just lovely.
Usually when you're talking about getting a hot dog ready, there's a moment where you put the condiment on, the mustard, as he chose, and you take a second and you just make sure it's on right. That dude just went mustard and bite. I mean, that was right away.
No reason to wait unless you have a second hot dog queued up.
Tampa Bay has stranded 6 so far, all the first 3 innings, leaving them loaded in the first, and 2 more left on in the second. On the ground, second base. Moncada's down on it, and 1 away. So James Shields against his former team, a longtime Tampa Bay Ray, extended time in the postseason. A young James with a big game against the Sox.
Well, that's when he had a power changeup. Low heat, everything moved. The changeup was outstanding. You couldn't run on him because he had the great move to first. The franchise strikeout leader for the Rays with Chris Archer getting ever closer, but a wide lead by Shields. There's David Price, Scott Kazmir, and Jake Odorizzi,
who just got his first win for the Twins yesterday.
Twins leading today, bottom of the 6th, 8-6 in Houston. It's bombs away, 18 hits combined. So apparently in Minneapolis, the weather is holding up, at least for the moment, and will be tomorrow for the opener of that series, then things get a little dicey.
Yeah, we're hopping on the Polar Express on Friday and Saturday.
It'll be a little chilly. Would be a northeaster, except it's a midwester.
I like the idea of a midwester. A little bit high, maybe-ish. Was in our pitch cast strike zone. Oh, this guy's.
There's dog number 2. Can't have more fun than that on Dollar Dog Day.
$2. That's all it took.
And his name is Chuck. Remember $2 Chuck?
I don't remember $2 Chuck.
Well, okay. You're too young to know about that.
On the ground and through. That's a base hit for Kiermaier. Tell us about it.
It was actually wine sold at Sam's Club. And the only stipulation was you couldn't sell it for more than $2.
Ooh.
Of course, I only have like 100,000 cases stored away, but didn't want to make a big commitment to it.
You played for how long? You can afford better wine than
Trader
that.
Joe's, actually, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you got it doesn't matter.
I don't drink wine.
Why are you buying all of it?
Futures.
Wine futures. Here's Gomez. You're not going to believe this. This may be the first you've heard of this. Wine doesn't only come in a box.
How about a bin?
No balls and a strike on Gomez. We should check back with our guy with the hot dogs in a little while. He already is demolishing his second one. So wonder if we can have an NBC Sports Chicago hot dog eating record. A contest that participants don't even know that they're involved in. That's 1.5. Congratulations, sir. You're our leader in the clubhouse. I like that he's scanning the field. Like he's really taking in the game while he's.
Yeah, he's looking for the hot dog vendor for another pair.
Ball and a strike. Yeah, that's down low.
Pitch number 82 on the way for James, who has certainly extricated himself from some very difficult innings. Getting out of the first with 3 walks in the inning, out of the second with 2 walks in the inning and a base hit, and nary a run on the board.
Throw to first, checking Kiermaier back.
Surprise team for you in baseball this year.
Surprise team so far.
Yeah.
Considering what happened in spring training, you could make the argument it's the Angels, but for me it's the Mets. 9-1 for the first time in franchise history.
That's in winners of 7 in a row. I mean, they've been terrific.
Yeah.
The one team that surprises me, because the advancement has come a little sooner than most thought, Atlanta is that team, and another team is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh at 8-2 this year, 3-game lead over the Cubs in Milwaukee. Winners of 8 of their last 10. Good pick by Abreu as James slipped off the mound. Hopefully he's okay, because he went for his best move at first base, but the heels must have caught. We'll watch it again. Jose does a nice job of making sure when he couldn't put the tag on, he just had to smother the baseball, made sure it didn't get away, made sure that Kiermaier didn't go to third, which he might have done. Nice play by Jose Abreu.
Kiermaier goes back to first on the pump from Omar behind the plate. And I think on the other side, the Dodgers at 4-6 isn't something that people had planned for out of the chute, that's for sure.
Go off a little more slowly than most people thought.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Down and away from Gomez. 6 punch outs for Shields this afternoon.
Well, take another look at James Shields with an off-speed breaking ball. And what James does, when you look at him deliver the ball, he'll drastically fall off to the first base side, selling that he's going to throw that curveball hard. He tries to sell he's throwing the curveball hard by falling off to the mound as quickly as he does, and then all of a sudden the ball doesn't get there. He's getting hitters to swing at the motion, so deception is a huge part of his game. Take a look at the strikeout pitch. Watch his body and how he throws it to his left. He delivers the ball, he throws his body to the left, and the ball doesn't get there. So deception as well as location is what fooled Gomez.
And time called briefly.
Got a couple of big White Sox fans looking on. Mark Brock, who will see the ball club in Oakland firsthand, and Eric Sloan, watching for the first time in his life, I believe.
Watching anything for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
Usually he sits in the dark. Ball and a strike on Crone. And you talk about the deception from Shields. His last start, he got 8 total swings and misses. His first start, he got 4, a substantially larger number, at least for my money, today already.
I think you can feel the ball better. I think, you know, that has to help pitchers when you can actually feel your fingers. Nobody has to tell James, with the offense doing what it's done against a very tough right-hander. And I would love to see that bullpen at Tampa Bay start to get loose, but Chirinos has just been in charge from the first inning and through his body of work today.
Three and one on Crone. According to StatCast in-game information, 15 total swinging strikes for James Shields today. That's after 12 in his first 2 outings combined.
Much more deception, better stuff. Tough pitch right here to a guy who can take you out fairly easily.
On the corner, nicely done.
Perfect spot for the fastball. At 3-1, you can guess fastball, you can't guess location, and you're so far ahead of the hitter. If you swing at that, it's a harmless ground ball to the infield. Crone decided to see another pitch. Joey Wendell in the on-deck circle, waiting for the resolution of this at bat, and we just have to hope it's leading off the next inning.
On 3-2. Hard hit center field. Adam is back, and it's over his head off the base of the wall. Kiermaier's going to score, and the Rays take the first lead of this game on a 3-2 laser from Crone.
He took the 3-1 fastball to get the pitch he wanted in the sequence, and he got another fastball. It was low and pretty much thigh high down the middle, and Crone, very strong, rifles it off the center field wall. 2 fastballs in a row, the second of which is a ringing double to center, driving in the first run of the ball game, meaning number 3 for C.J. Crone. He just crushes this ball. Fortunately, doesn't get it up higher. Adam Engel with no chance at all. Plays the carom well, but can't get it back in time.
So the Rays finally cash in, and Wendell does bat here in the 5th. Rays have scored first in every game in this series now. Came into this series over in 4 tries, scoring first this year. They had been very good at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory before they arrived here to Chicago.
That 7-2 debacle that they had at Fenway Park was very disappointing for a club that's looking for some momentum, as are the Sox.
Down the line at first, Abreu snares it, and the inning's over. But Tampa Bay, with 2 outs, scores a run to lead 1-0. How about it?
It's time.
Well, I will tell you, Smith is too shallow in center field for Omar, because if he can get it on the sweet spot, he's going to take it over his head despite his speed. But he's looking for something thigh high, and Chirinos will not cooperate. He's throwing everything just about shin high. Omar does have a base hit, a line drive in front of Smith in the 3rd inning.
Twisting foul, 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's your Sox Math answer for today. Ryan Bovard is your winner. Shields has pitched for 4 teams: Sox, Padres, Rays, and Royals. 11 postseason starts for James Shields, earning him the nickname Big Game James. 44 is your answer. Ryan Bovard, your winner. That first postseason start of his was against the Sox.
John, was that?
So 1 and 2 for Omar. Splitter again. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Omar is up on the bat, very rarely swings at a bad pitch. However, that splitter can make you go out of the strike zone. He was able to lay off the last one.
Two. On the ground, second base. Wendell crawls over to grab it for out number 1. And there's a ticket plan for every fan. Get access to every opponent with a partial ticket package, or handpick your games with a 10-game package. Secure your seats for the 2018 season today. All you have to do is visit WhiteSox.com or make the phone call 312-674-1000. It's your opportunity to say, here's the game I want, or here's the other game I want. You can pick and choose as you like. One down for Engel. What's missing from the Sox offense compared to that first road trip, you think?
More than anything, and not so today, because Chirinos is not striking out a whole lot of guys, but contact and moving base runners when they have the opportunity. The little things, manufacturing runs. But it's going to come. Look, you know, there was a prolonged period where they didn't take batting practice, and I talked with Ricky about that, and he said he could never remember any time in his career anywhere where, 5 or 6 games in a row they don't take any batting practice on the field. He said you can do what you want to in the cage. If you can't get it done on the field, guys just don't get any rhythm. So if you can't feel your hands, you're not going to be able to produce any runs, and that's been the problem with this ball club. But not only the Sox. In the early going, lots of teams experiencing those same problems, many of which, however, got on the field to take at least batting practice. And Ricky was lamenting the fact that this has been a terrible stretch of weather. It really has shown up in the hitting. And so eventually, when the weather gets good and where you get more consistent batting practice before games, the hitting's going to take over. It's going to be better. But situational hitting is key to winning close games. You don't move a runner up, it costs you a run. Situational defense, you give another guy an out, you give him 28, 29 outs in a game, it usually costs you a game, not just a run. And that's what happens. You play a lot of close games. The Sox do. They've been in every game but one game all year. 9 of 10 this team has been in. They've been right there, and little things have defeated them. But those little things will be erased as we move on into this season.
Adam takes another ball, 3-2. The one game that you're saying they weren't in, was it the 6-1 against the Tigers or the 7-run 8th inning against the Blue Jays?
No, the Blue Jays, they were absolutely in that game until the 7-run 8th. But the Tiger game was not a competitive game. I mean, that was one of those things where you say, okay, you won, that's good. But remember, more games are lost than games won, and that's been the history of baseball. It's not going to change anytime soon.
3-2. That's called strike 3.
With Chirinos, he has 2 speeds of that splitter, because that was almost a change-up splitter. He has supreme confidence in it. You can tell why he's going to move into the rotation. He takes a little something off and just drifts into the strike zone. Nice job by Sucre selling the call to Eric Cooper, who had a very good game behind the plate. He usually is very much a pitcher's ump, but today he hasn't missed many, and you don't find a lot of the hitters looking back. A testament to Eric Cooper. It's actually been a well-umped series all the way around.
It almost came out like a slider, slightly in its motion.
That depends on where the seams are when you grab it. And changeups can move 2 or 3 different ways, as can splitters.
Yeah.
Bruce Sutter could make it move in, out. He could do what he wanted with it, and looks like Chirinos has the same type of tendencies.
Yeah, I bring it up not necessarily as a parlor game for the folks at home to debate which is which, or for us to debate which is which, but because it's got to be difficult for the batter to figure out which one he's seeing out of the hand if we're seeing multiple types of the same pitch.
You can guess a pitch, you just can't guess what it's going to do.
.65 pitches so far for Chirinos. And that's in the dirt, 1-2.
I would think he's going to be getting close to where Kevin Cash is going to think about going to the pen. And as far as the Sox are concerned, it can't happen too soon. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Sox have 3 hits. And if Chirinos doesn't walk many people, he's only walked 1 here this afternoon. He's only walked 2 for the year. So if he doesn't get generous, it's going to be tough to square it up, as it has been all afternoon.
One, 2 is off the plate. So now 2 balls, 2 strikes on Yoan Moncada. Tampa just got the first run of this ball game on a C.J. Cron double in the top of this inning. Five to 4 and 6 to 5. The 2 Rays wins in this series. And on 2-2. Check swing, strike 3. 5th punch out for Chirinos. Another 1-2-3 inning for him, his 2nd of the day. We go to the 6th.
Head to Minnesota. 2 great young pitchers going head to head. Coverage begins at 7, or you can stream the game live on the NBC Sports app. The White Sox Twins series is presented by Explore Minnesota Tourism.
Twins have gone already pretty deep into their bullpen today in that finale against the Astros. They're up 8-6 right now in the 7th inning, but they have used already 3 pitchers after 4 1/3 from Kyle Gibson. Shields pours in another strike on a breaking ball, 0-2. In that game, Eddie Rosario has driven in 3 runs. He's tripled. Max Kepler has his 2nd home run of the year. That ball's hit to left field. Delmonico feeling for the wall, and he won't even get there. Out number 1.
Ricky Renteria, Don Cooper would love to see James Shields get through this inning, keep it at 1-0, turn it over to the offense, because James has been brilliant here this afternoon.
.94 pitches for James Shields. He's number 95 for the game.
Smith showed bunt, and then James on a cutter chased him out of there. One good thing to think about a bunt, another to make sure your leg doesn't get in the way. There's a look at Coop. Looking out, he's got to be pleased with James today.
Yeah, he went after that. That's a strike. So 1-1 on Smith, who's been all over the place today.
With his speed, he needs some technique. It's like a half swing at that. You're not going to do much with that unless you plan to really take a true half swing and maybe hit it over a drawn-in infield.
Right back up the middle. Tim's on the case. And there's out number 2. Nicely done by the Sox infield. Anderson ranging over for out number 2.
This one shoots right by James, and you usually think when that happens this is a base hit. But Tim Anderson has other ideas. Good off-balance throw. He got something on this one and cut down a very speedy runner. Nice play, Tim Anderson. The pen is up and going. Luis Avilan ready to go just in case. He might be getting ready for the Span Kiermaier 1-2, but before that, Echeverria and Sucre have to get on.
Do you agree that Tim Anderson seems to be better on the move?
I think it's not unusual for an early shortstop, a young shortstop, to be better on the move.
In the air left field, Nicky to the warning track. Out number 3. More about that when we come back on Anderson and shortstops in general. 1-0 Rays. at Tampa Bay. 1-0 your score. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, Chuck Garfine along with you. And when we went to break, we were talking about Tim Anderson and his throwing on the move. And you said something that interested me, that for young shortstops, sometimes they are better at throwing on the move. And I'm interested why.
Well, because the game moves very fast for young players. Veteran star players will tell you that they can slow down the game. I mean, whether it's Tom Brady, who has an internal body clock that seems to be a lot slower than most, or Omar Vizquel, who played shortstop and now is in our system managing, their body clock moves more slowly. For a youngster, the game moves very quickly, and so it's easier to get to the ball quickly than slow down and coast into the ball. The veteran players are the guys that absorb the baseball. The younger players are the guys that run to the ball and kind of stab at it at times. It's a question of maturity. And so Tim is at the point of his career now where he's a very aggressive player. He had great basketball skills. You charge everything in that game. He charges everything in this game. And so it's only a natural tendency to be able to throw on the run, to enjoy throwing on the run. And as he gets older, he will not necessarily wait back. It's just the game will move more slowly for him as it does for any of the stars in this game.
Well hit down the line, ticketed for the corner, and extra bases for Avi. That ball stays in the corner for a while, but he's going to have to slam on the brakes coming in from left field. So it's a leadoff double here in the 6th for Avi Garcia.
That undoubtedly will start the bullpen to work for Tampa Bay, but before that, the tying runs at second base. No chance for Duffy at third. He was playing off the line. They usually play Avi as an off-field hitter. He stays right with it, takes it right by Duffy, and runs it into a two-base hit. Good effort, but the ball is by him before the dive, and as it rattles around in the corner, the tying run in scoring position.
Now Abreu, after Avi's first hit of this series, hit number 4 today for the Sox, and strike 1 from Chirinos.
The bullpen is indeed up and going for Tampa. Exit velocity, Jose can hit him with anybody in the game. That's the most 100+ exit velocities this year. He's on top of Ozuna, Gallo, and 6 others.
Takes ball 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan Weber up and loosening along with the left-hander Alvarado. Or maybe not. Pruitt, Austin Pruitt, along with Jose Alvarado.
We've seen Alvarado. We have not seen Pruitt yet.
One. Oh boy, toward the camera well.
But that's a ringing endorsement for that net.
Nice to see the Sox extend the net this season.
Well, if not, that might have been fairly dangerous. So there's a sense of comfort that you can have if you have that net in front of you, and this net is extended, so a lot more fans protected.
One and 2. Abreu rips it to center field. Kiermaier back at the warning track, and he makes the play. Avi's on his way to third. All hope is not lost. Runner at third, 1 out. Abreu just smoked that baseball. And Garcia to third to a round of applause.
He hit it awfully hard, but he hit it to the wrong guy, because Kiermaier is as good as anybody in the business at this. At the last instant, goes up, takes it away as Jose on a splitter stayed right with it, moved the runner along, and I would assume that this is going to be it for Chirinos. And that is it. A job well done by the young sinker baller. Kevin Cash wants Alvarado. As he trots in, we'll step out. Be back after these messages. bank. It's about time. And there you look at Jose Alvarado, 0-1 in ERA, very good at 169. As you can see, limited action, but 5 strikeouts, just 1 walk, only 4 hits and 5 1/3. Matt Davidson is coming up to face him with the tying run 90 feet away. Nicky Delmonico in the on-deck circle.
Interesting that he would bring in the left-hander to face the righty Davidson.
He's more effective against right-handers. Right-handers 2 for 11 against him. Left-handers 2 for 8. And Matt Davidson, through a drawn-in infield, if he does indeed try to pitch to him, probably like to shorten that swing, make some contact, and at the very least, drive home the tying run. In the course of Alvarado's career, it's even more dramatic. He's gotten right-handers out to the tune of a 160 batting average, so, and lefties hitting 291 against him. So the reverse splits hold true with Alvarado. Means nothing if Matt squares one up.
But again, you've said it, you play to your own strengths, certainly, but you do open yourself up to the fact that Matt Davidson sees lefties better.
Yep.
In general.
Rick Renteria has been saying with runners in scoring position, a lot of his guys are thinking too much about the hit as opposed to the pitch. The pitch coming. We'll see what Davidson's approach is here right now.
On 2-0, Alvarado has it popped foul by Davidson.
Matt is up on the bat somewhat. He's thinking contact. That time, Alvarado did get inside, and Matt was able to fight it off, but not get much of a piece of it.
Tying run at third, 1 out. 3 straight fastballs from Alvarado. 2-1. Swung on and missed.
Usually on reverse splits this dramatic, it means the lefty has a great changeup to throw away from the right-hand hitters. With Alvarado, that's not really his pitch. He's got a good and very lively fastball. This time we're going to see a breaking ball. See if it's in the dirt.
2-2. Oh, it was in the strike zone. He froze him 2 down.
He freezes him with a curveball. This one stays up in the zone, but this is not a hanger. You can throw high curveballs and be very effective with it. You notice how Sucre actually brought the ball down, thinking that if Eric Cooper thought it was up, he was going to help him out, but it had the whole zone. It was a good pitch. And hangers are rollers. This one was a biter.
So now lefty-lefty. Delmonico versus Alvarado. Avi at third still with 2 out now. Avi started breaking toward home. Time called. Nicky takes ball 1 just low on a fastball, opening him at 99.
I would say he's got a little steam on that one.
His average coming in this year at 98. Avi at third. Nicky takes inside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, now this is where the lefty-lefty matchup favors Nicky Delmonico. Because at 2-0, first base open, you just sit back and you not only look for a pitch, you look for a zone. For Nicky, he'd probably like it middle away with this guy. And you look out there, if you get it, that's when you take a healthy cut.
Not a good pitch to hit. 3-0 on Delmonico with Sanchez next.
The splits are not quite as dramatic as they were on some pitchers. Tom Glavine, Hall of Fame pitcher with years ago with the Atlanta Braves, switch hitters would face him left-handed. He was that good a pitcher with a changeup where they just went up and faced him left-handed. Mario Rivera, who had such a good cutter, a lot of guys faced him right-handed rather than left-handed, as he was a right-handed Hall of Famer.
I was just going to ask you, with Sanchez coming up next, we've seen it in the past. As you're talking about, you got a switch hitter coming next.
Well, don't ask it because I just answered it.
I know.
Okay, but no, but I will say this. I don't know if Yolmer has done that. That's the thing. If he's done that, then it's a good move. If he hasn't, he's much better off hitting right-handed against him.
3-1. Way off the plate. Ball 4. Sox have runners at first and third with 2 down here in the 6th.
Pretty much what it shows you, the reason why he's had some problems with left-handers, he doesn't have a release point. He probably faces many more right-handers, and so we're going to have a trip to the mound to figure out what Yolmer is going to do.
Snyder coming out, the pitching coach for Tampa Bay.
You know, Yolmer Sanchez is up next, and when he was 3 years old growing up in Venezuela, he loved the game of baseball, was not on a team, but he wanted to have a uniform. So his dad bought him a uniform. Coincidentally, it was a White Sox uniform at the age of 3 years old, a Frank Thomas uniform, and actually he texted me the photo today. This is the photo of Yolmer at 3 years old wearing a White Sox Frank Thomas uniform. Maybe Yolmer can find his inner Frank Thomas right here, right now. The Sox need a hit.
Well, we had Craig Grayback as the little hurt, right? That's the real little hurt.
Well, in that situation, you're talking about a 3-year-old with his size and Frank Thomas's size, and with today for 50 cents you get half a Frank, and that's exactly what Yolmer was at that point.
Half a Frank. So 3-year-old Yolmer, 22 years later, at 25, takes inside, ball 1.
Outfield swung around toward right drastically. A lot of room down the line and left, a lot of room in almost straightaway center, with Kiermaier thinking there's no way Yolmer can pull Alvarado. Well, you throw an inside pitch, and this is not going to be. This is an outside fastball.
1-0, hit hard on the ground, but right at the third baseman Duffy to retire the side. Sox have left 6 through 6, still 1-0. That Paul Konerko showed how fast he is at Tropicana Field. He was off to the races. Paul clangs off the top of the wall, and there he goes, Buxton-like with his speed. Paulie on the move, second base. third coming into view. And to home he went, beating the tag, needing some oxygen. And Konerko was in on his inside the park home run as Ricky Renteria is going to go ahead and make a pitching change to start the 7th inning. James Shields is finished. Luis Avilan will come in out of the bullpen. And that Paul Konerko inside the park home run is the topic of our One Thing with Ricky today. Ricky, what's the closest you ever came to an inside the park home run?
I don't think I ever had an inside the park home run. To be honest, close, maybe, but I don't think I never really did.
Any level?
At any level. Well, Little League.
You were a Little League inside the park home run champ or what?
Well, you know, when you're 5'6" at 11 and everybody's 5'2" and 5'1", and you only go a few inches after that, you know, at that time I was ahead of everybody, but then everybody caught up to me.
That's 3 things with Ricky today. Them's the breaks for the skipper there. He was the tallest one for a while, then that disappeared.
Time now for a Lakeside Bank call to the pen. It is Luis Avilan. What a job by James Shields. He was brilliant today. 6 1/3 innings. As you look at the numbers, Luis ERA at 2.45. Pretty good numbers all the way across. One of those guys that gets right-handers out a bit better than left-handers, at least in the early going, but it's a very small sample size at this point. And what a job by James Shields. A little bit of a Houdini work early in the game where he dug himself into a problem with walks, dug himself out with a strikeout and a line out, and then continued to throw very well. Gave one up in the 5th inning, and that was about it. Great job by Shields, hoping the offense can come back and win this ball game. I was talking to James. He said, look, regardless of how well I pitch, it's team wins. That's the big thing. If I don't get the decision and we win, I'm a happy guy.
To Span, strike 1. Denard Span 0 for 2 with a walk so far in this game. 1 for 9, but 4 walks in the series so far. Rays have left 7 on, the Sox 6 so far in a 1-0 game. Sox will be on the road in Minneapolis for presumably 4 starting tomorrow. Weather forecast is a little bit dicey in the Twin Cities.
It is ominous at best, but it's going to be beautiful tomorrow. Great pitching matchup. Lucas Giolito, Jose Barrios. 2 of the real bright lights around Major League Baseball. Barrios had some wonderful moments last year. He had a tough outing first time out, but he's got a great arm and wonderful stuff. And Lucas will just be happy to feel his fingers tomorrow.
Called strike 3. Avilan paints Span. 2 out in the 7th.
He freezes him. And we told you about Eric Cooper and that pitcher's friendly strike zone. Tough to take anything with 2 strikes. But Eric Cooper has been like that since he started in this league. He's that way now. The hitters should know that certainly. And just be swinging if you get down in the count.
7 strikeouts now for the Rays today. James Shields walked 5 in the first 2 innings and none after that. Oh, good catch by Omar to keep it in the zone for strike 1.
That's that high strike we've been talking about for the better portion of this year. He'd like to ease it over. He sold the call and got it from Cooper.
Now now 0-2. Friday, May 4th, come see the Sox take on the aforementioned Twins. 7:10 start time. All fans are invited to stay for a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Get your tickets today at whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. Fireworks make me feel warm too. Makes me think summer's coming.
I love fireworks night, but I like in-game fireworks a whole lot more.
Omar hung on. Strike three. Avilan with a couple of punch outs. Back to the offense. Down just a run at stretch time. Breaking news, latest videos, special ticket offers, and more delivered right to your inbox. Visit whitesox.com/blacklist to register today. You can do it right now. A chill has come over the ballpark as the sun has threatened to go away. Sox hanging around, trailing by a run. And Tim, first pitch swinging, hits it foul.
It's pretty interesting because they're not overshifting in the infield. They are shifting to the right side in the outfield for Tim, who picked up a double. Not a double, rather. Picked up a single last time up and drove it to the right side. Alvarado, for the most part, surprisingly, uses high curveballs. And because very few pitchers do use them, they're very effective. Because, again, they're not hangers. So you get rotation on the ball, you can throw it high if it bites late. And Alvarado gets a lot of use out of that pitch.
Now, we've talked at length today about how difficult it is to sustain 2 bullpen days as part of a rotation. I know that's going to change with Chirinos and his effectiveness getting into the rotation. But this was ostensibly a bullpen day. Twice, Chirinos has gotten him through 5 on one of these bullpen days, and you cannot overstate the value of that to this team and guys like Chaz Rowe in the bullpen.
No, a terrific outing today. He got Kevin Cash exactly where he wanted to get him.
Nick Capra, nice play. One and 2 to Anderson. 3 for 11 in the series for Tim. Sometimes all it takes is one swing to change the fortunes of a team for a week. Swing and a miss, strike 3, 1 down here in the 7th. That's worked the other way for the Sox in this homestand. You think about what might have happened if not for the Nico Goodrum home run during the home opener, if not for the ball getting away from Larry Garcia in left field on the home opener. And Sox are staring down the possibility of needing to get their first home win during the next homestand.
Long way to go in this one, and once again, this team is right in the ball game late, as they've been 9 of the 10 previously played. This would make it 10 of 11.
5 of the 7 losses by 2 runs or 1 run so far this year for the Sox.
And this becomes a good matchup with the problems with lefties that Alvarado has had.
Oh, 1. Breaking ball, check swing. Omar wants the appeal. He reflexively, as a catcher, he said, "Did I swing?"
I've seen that a lot from various catchers around that are so used to pointing on a check swing that they'll even point on their own check swing. Probably not the one you want to appeal, but the call by Gary Cederstrom was he did not swing.
It's like tipping the opponent's shot in basketball. In the air left field. Smith coming on, and he dropped the ball. Malik Smith took his eyes off the ball. He took his eyes off of it, and now Omar is on his way to second base. It's down the first base line. He's chugging for third. The throw, not in time.
That's going to be 2 errors on Smith. The drop ball, and then he threw away the baseball after he dropped it. So he compounds a bad play with a worse play. And then Omar chugging into third base. What happens to a lot of fielders. He actually, number one, didn't use the glasses, which is one thing you don't need him. But he put his glove right in front of his eyes. And then the ball gets away from Wendell. Crone can't get to it. And Omar, retreating to the bag, takes off. And he can see the ball all the way. He takes a look back there. Then he looks at Nick Capra. Job well done by Omar. Looking at the ball and then picking up Capra, getting in ahead of the tag. And that is a fortuitous couple of errors as Alvarado will depart. Rowe will come in. Things are getting interesting, folks, and stay with us. We'll be back after these messages. And just so we don't miss him, there he is again. On for the 7th time. He's 0-1 with a high ERA. 5 strikeouts, but 4 hits and 4 1/3. The infield drawn in all the way around, and Lurie Garcia getting an opportunity to drive him home. So Adam Engel taken down. Lurie comes in. He'll undoubtedly take his spot in center field in a key spot for the young switch hitter who's got lots of talent and some power in that bat.
After Omar's romp around the bases, runner at third, 1 out. Couple of errors against Malik Smith on that play, both fielding and throwing, and see if the Sox can make him pay.
Sox looking for their first pinch hit of the year, and what a time for it.
Foul ball, strike 1.
With the infield in, the last thing you want to do is throw any kind of breaking pitch or fastball for that matter up in the zone. Because from a pitching standpoint, you're looking pure and simple to keep the ball on the ground. If it goes through, well, then it goes through. You've at least done your job. That's a matter of luck and happenstance, but you cannot allow a fly ball.
Rowe on 0-1. Misses outside. Chaz Rowe, who threw for a couple of outs worth on Monday. He got Avi and Abreu on a ground out and a strikeout. That's the combo the Sox would like to avoid here. Change that up. 1-1 bunt shown, that hit him.
Well, the question being now, did he bunt the ball? And apparently he did not. The ball just hit him. And I think Kevin Cash will make the argument that Lurie bunted at the ball. I believe he's going to make that argument.
If so, it's a strike and the ball got away, and you make the argument that the run's coming home.
That's exactly what he's doing. And now Hermie comes out to take a look at Lurie. We'll watch it again. He did bunt at it. The ball hits him in the leg. And they're sending Omar back to third base.
The first concern right now for Ricky Renteria is on Garcia, and he's going to go to first.
And they're saying apparently that they don't believe that he bunted at the ball. This is kind of interesting. We'll see how this one plays out.
Well, there's foul ball as a hit by pitch certainly is possible to be reviewed, but swinging strike is not. So this is non-reviewable. It's either he was hit by it or he wasn't. That could be reviewed. However, hit by pitch plus swing is not reviewable.
Well, here's something interesting, because at least for the first pitch, what Kevin Cash did with his infield, he realizes the odds of doubling Moncada are not quite as good as the odds of coming home with whatever is hit in the infield. So he's still got the infield in, despite the fact that on a base hit, Lurie goes to third and the tying run scores. He's thinking no chance on the double play.
Throw to first on Garcia.
Interesting setup. There you see the defense and the infield pulled in, but they're not in on the grass. The reason for that is Omar doesn't have big speed. If he did, they'd be in even closer than they are. Now at least they have an angle on a ground ball.
0-1 on Moncada. He squares to bunt, throw to third, and now Omar's hung up. Garcia behind the play goes to second, and the tag's down on Omar. The Rays were on it, and the Sox have out number 2.
Well, here's the deal. This was a suicide again, and Yohan looked like he pulled the bat back. So miscommunication on the part of the Sox. The tying run taken off third. Watch it again. You can't have a suicide and not attempt to bunt the baseball. I mean, that's just it. It's a missed sign. There's not much you can do, and then Omar's hung out to dry. He tries to stay in the rundown, but he's taken out. So now the tying run at second base, and it's a missed sign. It's lack of communication, and Ricky is not a happy man right now, still exhorting his team to drive home the tying run. And now you got big speed at second.
Still a big bat at the plate in Moncada. Garcia at second. 2 strikes, 2 outs. And there is strike 3. Well, there are 6 outs still to play with. 1-0.
You pull the bat back, and it's not a safety squeeze. This is a suicide squeeze, meaning Omar Narvaez is off to the races with no place to go, and there's no worse feeling in the world with Ricky talking with Yuan. He's asking him, what did you see? Or in this case, what didn't you see? And Yuan is saying, look, it's my fault. There's nothing I can do. And Ricky is saying, don't let it happen again, kind of thing. So, you know, you make mistakes as Lurie stays in the game in center field. Still have some time as Bruce Rondon comes in the ball game. Last time we saw him was the first time we saw him in a Sox uniform. He faced 4, he fanned 4. You could hardly be better than he was.
All 4 strikeouts on sliders for Rondon, but we saw the heat as well early in counts. And they're nearing 100.
It has been from the beginning of time when they invented pitchers. Get the ball over, you've got a chance. If Bruce gets it over, nobody hits it.
He does there. Low in the zone at 98. That's no fun if you're in a Tampa jersey.
Neither is the slider that he threw last time out. So if that's any indication of how it's going to be for him, and we'll see in this outing, Sox might have found something in Rondon.
Popped up third base side, foul territory. Tim is over, and Tim runs out of room.
Good effort, but the ball drifted foul.
Download the app, play for free, and start your streak for a chance at $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today. So 2 fastballs and a slider, and there is strike 3. Gomez put away by Rondon, his 5th straight strikeout to open his Sox career.
When you've got 98 or 99 in your mind and you see 86, not a great slider, but he got him. And it wasn't the location, it wasn't the pitch, it was the velocity that fooled him. He's faced 5 men in a Sox uniform, fanned all 5.
The out pitch every time has been the slider for Rondon.
I would think that he will not strike out anybody this year, and that's kind of the analyst I am. I'm going to predict that somebody will eventually not strike out against him, although it might not be today.
Careful on that limb.
Well, you know, just don't saw it off, please. I don't bounce these days.
Up and in, and boy, Crone. That's not your idea of a good time.
No, he just kind of backed out of there and thanked his lucky stars that that one didn't get a piece of the beard. Yikes.
I'll push you away for a little bit. 1-1. CJ Cron, the lone RBI in this game.
He got a 3-2 fastball after a 3-1 fastball, 110.2 miles an hour. The only thing that kept it in the park was lack of height, which has been years of my problem for quite some time. It was the problem with Crone there as he drives home the only run of the game.
It's kept you out of some parks. 2-1, swing and a miss, 2-2.
That was a nasty, biting slider. Don't think for a minute that that face-high fastball didn't play into what that slider did to Crone. And one more close to the zone, and it's bye-bye Crone.
2-2. And got a piece of it.
Just able to fight that one off. That was a little quicker than the previous sliders. That was 89 and down.
Rays have Austin Pruitt getting loose. Rondon, only in one of his seasons has he given up more hits than innings he's pitched. As this ball is fanned out to right, converging Garcias are there for out number 2. The shape of the bullpen, the makeup of this bullpen changes significantly if Rondon is throwing like the guy the Tigers thought they had in the first place.
Well, think about the smaller moves that Rick Hahn and his staff made. Luis Avilan, one of them. not a ballyhooed move, but you get a quality left-hander, a guy who pitched with the Dodgers and did really well. And picking up Bruce Rondon could turn out to be as good as any move that Rick has made, along again with the evaluation of his staff. It was always the case when Bruce got the ball near the zone, nobody hit it. That's been his whole career. And if the Sox did indeed find something that they were able to change, and Don Cooper and Kurt Hassler, Cooper especially, has done this for so long, making pitchers better when they put on a White Sox uniform. If that's the case here, this is a great find.
2 years ago, he was an outstanding bullpen arm for his time in the majors, just 36 innings plus, but he allowed less than 1 walk and hit combined per inning he threw. His whip was .9 something.
Yep, he's got that kind of stuff.
Up the middle, Tim is behind the bag, and there is out number 3. It's a 1-2-3-8 for soon-to-be fan favorite Bruce Rondon, if he's not already. 1-0 bottom 8. 2, 3, 4 hitters coming. Playing into the bottom of the 8th inning, Avi, Jose, and Matt coming up against the Rays bullpen, and Austin Pruitt. Who's going to be the hero today?
Well, I'm still thinking the guy in the on-deck circle who came an eyelash from driving the ball at least against the wall or out of the park last time up. But Kevin Kiermaier, the best in the business at saving runs and base hits and everything that goes with being a center fielder, robbed him. And he had F8 for his efforts, but he moved along Avi to third where he was stranded.
Meanwhile, in the dugout, Rick Renteria has been spending the last minute or so explaining things to Yoan Moncada. I can't hear what they're saying, but you got to believe it had a lot to do with that squeeze play right there, last inning.
Chuck, if you could hear it, could you understand it?
I know a little bit of Spanish.
There you go. That's why you're a roving reporter and baseball expert.
Savant.
And one of those also.
Yeah. So after a long meeting, Renteria and Moncada break up. 2-1 from Pruitt, who generally has good control. Right-hander out of the University of Houston. Avi climbs the ladder for that ball and fouls it away. 2-2. White Sox fans, don't let your setbacks limit you. Start your comeback today by visiting Atletico.com to request your complimentary injury screening and have your pain or injury assessed by our experts for free. Atletico, the official physical therapy provider of the Chicago White Sox. Atletico, better for everybody.
Pruitt has given up a home run this year. He has walked 4 in 8 2/3. But he's fanned 6, so the stuff is good enough. The question is, can you lay off the curveball with him? And the answer was yes that time. It's a good over-the-top curveball. They talk about 12 to 6, which is of course the designation of the clock. His is more 11, perhaps 11 to 5, which is a good score in a game normally if the Sox win, but also produces a good curveball.
Also a short work day. 3-2. Pruitt gets strike 3. Upstairs with a fastball. 9th strikeout for the Rays staff today. 1 down.
We'll take another look. This is not where he wanted to throw it. This was a hanger. Javi swung through it. If you get one of the hangers or a roller, you want it a little lower than that one. That was too high for him to handle.
1 down for Abreu. And ball 1. Yeah, there was a slider at 90 there for Pruitt. And now a fastball at 93 to open Abreu. Well hit right field by Abreu. Gomez toward the corner, and this ball does twist foul. Nice play by a fan, but wish it wouldn't have ended up in that section. Hoping for maybe a couple sections over to the left.
Young lady next to her wants that particular souvenir, thinking that, well, look pretty good on my mantle or rolling around in the neighborhood.
There's a strike from Pruitt, called in the low portion of the zone. 1-2.
That was a good changeup. And Jose fooled. And let's see, actually showing it to other folks and playing keep away. Playing keep away. Uh-oh.
Jose went after a ball out in front of the plate, so still 1-2 as the battle rages on in the right field corner for the souvenir. Oh,
there you go.
We have a winner.
One of life's great moments. Getting a baseball at the game.
Especially when you coerce it out of somebody else's hand because you're cute.
That's the least you could do.
1-2. Up and out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Have you ever gone to somebody and said, hey, I really want that baseball because I'm cute?
Not hardly, no. In fact, all the games I went to, and I've gone to a lot, especially when I was a lot younger, when I was a fan, I never got a souvenir, never got a baseball in the stands.
Ever?
Never.
Wow. 2-2 is off the plate, and Sucre tried to sell it from behind the plate.
Yeah, that one was wide and down, and watch Jesus Sucre. He's so excited trying to buy this call, yanks it back in the zone, gonna throw it around, but not to be.
Probably doesn't help his case for a borderline pitch on 3-2. We'll see. Fouled by Abreu, still 3-2.
Well, good job of staying alive on that over-the-top curveball. Now it's coming even closer to the 12-6 as Pruitt stays right on top of it. Good late break, good rotation, and Matt Davidson waiting patiently. He'll get his opportunity. He'd love to get it with Jose on base or a 1-1 score.
3-2. Hard hit left side and through. He ripped it off of Echeverria into left field. A 1-out single for Abreu, and the Sox have the tying run on.
Last 2 at bats, he absolutely cranked 2 of them. This one by Echeverria, he has no chance. That was a spinner that stayed up in the zone. Jose too good a hitter to miss that. He's aboard, carrying with him the tying run. Good effort by Echeverria, but he comes up short. He thought he should have had that. But that was a one-hop rocket.
He can be mad at himself all he wants. That ball was absolutely mauled.
Well, he's an excellent defender and was when he came up with the Marlins.
Now Davidson. Matt takes a called strike up in the zone, 0-1. Remember, Matt got punched out on a close pitch on the corner in the 6th. Struck out looking in the 3rd on a beautiful breaking ball from Chirinos. Oh, 1.
Pen up and going. And as you can see, it's Nate Jones. Nice story about Nate today in Sun Times. Talking about him past the injuries. He's got great stuff. You know, factor Rondon in there, Nate Jones, Avalon stuff is very good. Look at the makings of pretty good bullpen.
Davidson drills it deep left center, and the Sox take the lead. 2-1 thanks to Matty D.
5 and 10 in the power numbers. For the first time today, the Sox have the lead. And let's take a look at the reaction of his teammates and Ricky Renteria and Todd Steverson, Herm Schneider, all the boys. They've waited a long time in this homestand to see one go out of the ballpark. Saladino with a forearm shiver. And a very happy Jose Abreu, who set it up with a rocket.
That was a scary look on Matt's face when he got to Tyler. And that's how the ball felt when it left.
Kiermaier set up to try to make an attempt, and you can't dive into the 10th row.
Delmonico the other way. The parade continues.
Timed out for a Ford home run replay. That was a short breaking ball that didn't break. Might have broken his seat, but didn't break very much. And the Sox have the lead. You see Kiermaier set up, but he's got no chance. Line drive rocket. It got out in a hurry. And the wind or no wind, and the wind has shifted. It's gotten colder. The wind blowing to the right field corner doesn't mean anything to Matt Davidson with his 5th home run of the year, his 10th driven in.
In a ballpark that has been just a dead zone, just canyon-like in the outfield for this homestand. Didn't need a whole lot of carry on that screamer from Matt Davidson. Yomer brushes this into right field. Delmonico takes second base. 4 consecutive hits for the Sox here in the 8th.
Well, you talk about, and you talked about it earlier, it was a good observation that maybe one swing can turn around a ball club for maybe the next week. So there was 2 swings. The first by Abreu getting on, representing the tying run, and then a little short slider that Matt Davidson took out of the ballpark. And it could very well be that this is the spark that this team has been looking for. With Snyder coming to the mound to settle down Pruitt, nobody up in the pen. It's Pruitt against the world, and right now the world is winning.
And with Matt Davidson's home run, another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. And a donation which may be attached to a win, as Matt will go get warm in the clubhouse and come back out in case he has to come back up here in the 8th. Maybe putting the cart slightly before the horse, but Sox have their first lead in this game at 2-1.
Nicky has to be careful because Wendell is right behind him with 3 on the left side of the infield.
Tim drills it. Right center field. Kiermaier at the warning track, and he makes the catch. Nicky's on his way to third, and he gets there. That ball was hammered by Tim. 2 out, runners at the corners. The Sox are squaring up. Pruitt.
Tim hit that ball a long way. Unfortunately, the wind could not take it out of the park. Tim came an eyelash from doing just that. As Kiermaier set up, made the play. There you see the flags. It is blowing toward the right field corner as it's gotten substantially cooler at the park. So runners at the corners. And Omar up. Now again, if Pruitt goes to that big nose-to-toes curveball that he has, that winds up in the dirt a lot.
These have all been early swings in the count.
Jump on anything that's not breaking about 3 feet.
Omar swings at the first pitch.
Nice stop as Sucre saves a run. Would have been a huge run.
The Rays in the 9th will have Duffy, Smith, and Echeverria scheduled. Sox hoping to make it more than just a 1-run lead. Delmonico at third, Yolmer, Sanchez at first. On the ground, right side, Wendell. But the Sox take the lead. Matt Davidson crushes a ball just left of center field. The Sox 2, the Rays 1, 3 outs to get.
Ask and answer. Matt Davidson with a bomb, his 5th of the year. Sox have the lead. That's powered by Xfinity. And Matt Davidson as Nate Jones comes into the ball game to nail it down. You look at the numbers. No walks, 3 strikeouts and 3 1/3. He's 1-0, ERA of 2.70. And you want to make these guys hit the ball.
Duffy first, strike 1. Nate Jones, almost surprisingly so, but considering where he's been in the bullpen, not. 3 career saves to his name.
Well, the tough part about that last pitch was that it was a strike. But maybe it fooled Eric Cooper because it had the whole zone. And Nate will be a full-time closer. It's just a matter of when. If he stays healthy and stays in the zone, he's got closer stuff. Two balls and a strike.
Duffy, Smith, and Echeverria scheduled. Up and in, 3-1. Nate Jones, his last save came on July the 9th, 2016 against Atlanta in interleague play here.
Got to throw a fastball right down the middle. If Duffy can hit it, so be it. He cannot afford to walk it.
He did. Leadoff man on for Tampa Bay.
Sox fans, you can show your team pride with a White Sox checking, an official White Sox MasterCard debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
All right, so now you've got Malik Smith, who has been a difficult out in this series. Not today, but in this series. 6 hits in the first 2 games on Monday and Tuesday. Time called by Smith. Sox took the lead in the bottom of the 8th. If you're just joining us, Matt Davidson, a 2-run homer. Tampa Bay got its lone run in the 5th.
Well, Smith will likely be taking until Nate throws a strike, because Kevin Cash does not want him to expand his zone. He's not going to ask him to lay it down. He's going to make sure that Nate gets one in the zone before anything happens in this at bat, or at least he should.
Their first look at Nate Jones in this series, and he's up high. There goes Narvaez to talk to Nate.
Don Cooper also coming out, because this is more than an infield and catcher meeting. Don wants to settle him down, get him in the zone. Omar is telling him right there, don't throw it through me, throw it to me.
It's been 6 days since Nate last threw.
And unfortunately, that's what happens to guys that are a little too strong, is you keep everything up high. But let's take a look at the Verizon projected starters for the Sox and Twins, and it's a whale of a matchup. Lucas Giolito, Jose Barrios. Very talented twosome. Lucas is going to be very happy if he can get the feeling back in his hands for that curveball that he had all spring and all of last year. Barrios had a big year last year, and he is one of the rising stars on the horizon in baseball.
There's a strike from Nate Jones at the tip top of the zone. 2-1. Sox hoping to get to Minneapolis with a win in their pocket. Duffy at first. 2-1 to Smith. No sir. 3 balls and a strike. That's there, right down the chute. 3-2.
Well, Nate might have taken a mile or 2 hour off that one, because that he laid down the middle, which is exactly what he should do. And another one forthcoming here, or should be. Maybe a 1-hop rocket double play would be in order, but they better hurry.
Duffy holds. Smith swings through it. Strike 3. Great comeback from Nate Jones. 1 away.
This one diving away from Smith. Take a look at the late movement on that. He's mad at himself because he expanded his strike zone. Should be standing at first with a tying run at second. Not to be, as Smith goes down on strikes.
He saw a strike out of the hand.
Huge strikeout, and late movement got the job done.
So Adeiny Echeverria with Duffy still at first. And a tapper foul, 0-1. Maybe that strikeout has settled Nate and coordinated him with the strike zone. 0-1.
First slider from Nate, and it was a good one. Omar looking over in the dugout. and then hangs the slider.
Check swing. He did go. 0-2. Sucre's on deck. You wonder if they might pinch hit for him.
Well, quite possibly, but I don't like setup pitches very much, so another slider in this at bat ends if it's in the same spot.
Duffy at first. 0-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
That was that slider. And Sucre is going to bat because looking at the other options, you've got Smith, Robertson, and Refsnyder as Echeverria goes down. Good slider, good spot, 2 outs. A huge confidence builder for not only the ball club, but for Nate Jones if he can nail this one down.
Sucre. Ground ball, right side. Moncada is on it, and the Sox have a win. 2-1 the final. Matt Davidson, your hero this afternoon.
We'll watch the last out. Nate Jones nails down a save. Don Cooper said the magic words, whatever they were very effective, because after the leadoff walk, strikeout, soft ground ball, end of the game. Sox end the 5-game losing streak. And this one was a dandy.
Sox were down 1-0 until Matt Davidson did what he did, but James Shields kept it right there for the most part.
And just like we promised, it's time for the Miller Lite hold true moment, and James held true today. Brilliant outing. Gave up 1 run. He had everything working. I mean everything. The slow curveball, the cutter, the change. And more than that, James Shields was in control from start to finish. It was just an outstanding effort, and you'd have to applaud him, and you have to applaud Rondon out of the bullpen, Avilan out of the bullpen, and Nate Jones nailing one down, 4th career save, first you say since 2016. So this is a confidence builder, and maybe, just maybe, he will stake his claim to the last man coming out of that pen.
Well, there was some positivity building around this team from that road trip. You win 3 of the 5 on the road, come home, have that heartbreaker in the opener, and now maybe this stabilizes everything. So Matt Davidson, your game winner. He's downstairs with Chuck.
Thanks, Jason. All right, Matt Davidson, the 2-run homer in the 8th. Take us through the at-bat.
You know, just trying to, you know, really get a good pitch to hit and do something. You know, I mean, came up earlier in the game, a couple of spots, and didn't produce. You know, so you know, we've had a tough go here, the offense, but you know, hopefully this gets things rolling. You know, we even got a couple hits after that. You know, we just need the energy and keep it going, and you know, bring us into a good road trip.
How much did you guys need it? I know it's early part of the season, but 5 games here, you hadn't gotten a W. You end the homestand with a win.
Yeah, you know, it's huge. You know, it's really frustrating when it seems like everything's going wrong, you know, and, you know, something turned the corner, and we did it that way, and, you know, hopefully we keep it going. But, yeah, you know, I mean, it's early, but you want to win. You want to win every night, and, you know, and you want to win for the fans, you know. They've been out here. It's been brutal weather. You know, we're excited for our future, and they should be too, but we want to win now, and you know, we kind of heard the moaning a little bit out in the stands, but you know, we want them to cheer for, and we did today.
Well, they're cheering today. Matt Davidson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Jason, Steve, back up to you.
Chuck, Matt, thank you. Kind of a sigh of relief for a lot of folks with that win. Certainly, we know this season's going to have some ups and downs, but nice to have an 8th inning comeback victory.
This was fun. Let's do more of it, and it'll be a happy trip to Minneapolis, so we will see you on the plane.
Sounds good. See you there. 2-1 your final. Sox beat the Rays. For our producer John Walgren, our director Jim Angio, our associate producer Chris Kamka, our tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Greg Bowman, and our entire crew here in Chicagoland. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. For Chuck Garfine as well, we say so long from Guaranteed Rate Field. Coming up next, Subaru White Sox postgame live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago. Have a great night.